We are explaining Rigathis tight security in the USA. Just as I was coming here, I was made to understand that some aspects of Rigathis statement has been disowned by the USA government. The aspect that he was saying that he's in the USA to assist them on issues to do with the terrorism. Uh, the US security is just like the Kenya police and any police anywhere. You can go to the police station, make a report, whether the report is strategic or not, they will take your OB number. But depending on whether your statement is strategic, they can react. But if they find that it does not meet certain criteria, do not be surprised if they ignore it and move on. So yes, Rigathi Gachagua has reported to the US Security Department about it. Yes, whatever is happening. But I would say that when it comes to the issues of Rigathi saying that he has reported Ruto to the US government about meeting Al-Shabaab leaders and whatever, I think that one at best is that Rigathi Gachagua is playing to the Kenyan gallery. He is playing to the Kenyan gallery. I have already recorded a video where I said that one thing, groups such as CIA, NIS, and others, any discussions with them, if you go out public, they become annoyed. So it is always advisable that when you discuss issues with CIA, NIS, or anything, you don't go broadcasting. Your story could be important, could be interesting, but after discussing with other people, it may annoy them and it may end up, instead of them cooperating with you, they will not cooperate with you. Another thing I had asked in another video, which I'll ask, is that if at all Ruto met the Al-Shabaab, if at all Ruto interacted with Al-Shabaab, it did not need Rigathi to leave Kenya and go there, because first of all, we have case officers and handlers in Nairobi. They would have dealt with him. And if they would have dealt him, they would have recruited him. In special branch, we used to ignore some Mudomokayas. We could not recruit them because of certain reasons. He is dead, allow me to say so. Nur Abdi Ogle. Nur Abdi Ogle. There's a time I wanted to recruit him to monitor what was happening in the parliament, but I was told to keep off. So we have some people, yes, we have some people whose characteristics, they find that, yes, we could get good stories from him, but his characteristics is uncontrollable if he becomes a person that we recruit. So if the CIA would have wanted information from, if the CIA would have wanted information from Rigathi, they would have recruited him while he was in Nairobi. He did not need to go there. And again, even if he went there, I said it's just like a police station whereby you enter, they don't stop you. What they do is that they don't act on reports that they find they are not reasonable. So that is something that came up while I was leaving the house, coming here to do the shoot. That there is some aspect of his talking that the US government has disowned. But today, the purpose of coming here was to record on Rigathi Gachagua's tight security in the USA. In VIP protection, there is something that is called Operation Order. Operation Order. This is prepared by local security organs when a VIP is visiting. For example, the president is going to, let me not even mention the name of the district. The overall police boss of that county will organize for an operation order. Oh, right now the president is in Homa Bay doing the county government meetings. The county police commander, the county police commander of Homa Bay prepares something that is called operation order. This one covers from the time the president enters Homa Bay County to the time he leaves Homa Bay County. He enters from, Oyugis? Let's say he enters from Oyugi. So from Oyugi, there is a superintendent so and so. He will have, I don't know, 50 policemen over. And that area for that person is from point A to point B. It's from point Udhiru to Kawangware. Then there is the second team from Kawangware to Kenya Science, whatever. That sector. Sector 1 is from Udhiru to Kawangware. Sector 2 from Kawangware to Dagoretti Corner Junction Mall, Kenya Science. So that is what happens. When you see the coordination of security there, there is an overall who has prepared an operation area, an operation order. I do believe that looking at Rigathi Gachagua's thing, the local police have prepared something that is called an operation order. There are many parameters that are used when preparing an operation order, but two of them are prominent. Two of them are prominent. One is the vertical consideration. One is the vertical consideration, and the other one is the horizontal consideration. Most of the time, if not all the time, the VIP protection is a combination of both. In most of the cases, if not all, VIP protection, when preparing an operation order, you consider both horizontal and vertical. For example, in Kenya, right now as we speak, we have two former vice presidents. I'm not talking of a deputy president. I'm talking of the former vice president. As we talk now, we have two former vice presidents. We have Moody Award. He is a former vice president. And we also have Kalonzo Musyoka. He is a former vice president. When we look at it from the vertical angle, they deserve the same number of security. Former vice presidents, they require the same level of security from vertically. Is that what we call vertical? Yeah. Because a former president like Uhuru Kenyatta, I don't know what exact numbers they are, because there was a time when I was in service, we didn't have former presidents or something. But let me say, for example, if you are a former president, maybe you need 20 active security guards. And if you are a former vice president, you need 15. And if you are a former, not all former ministers, but we have ministers, like if you are a former minister for internal affairs, if you are a former minister for defense. So you'll find that a former president gets more security. The numbers are just given for example. The former president is supposed to be given more than a former vice president. So you find that in Kenya today, we only have one living former president. During Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's time, he had two former presidents. But now, we only have one former president, who is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. There is a list that says he needs so many security personnel. You remember there was even an incident where he had to insist that some of the security who are guarding him should go and guard Mama Ngina Kenyatta. So you find that there is a set limit for that. Then there is a set limit for vice presidents. But you would understand that even though both are former vice president, that is both, what do you call, both Mudi Awori and Kalonzo Musyoka. When we look at it vertically, they are both former vice presidents. But the security of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka most likely is tighter than the security of Mudi Awori. They are the same. Now we talked of vertical, now we are talking of horizontal. Both of them are former vice presidents, but you'll find that Mudi Awori has retired from politics, from active politics. You will also recall that Mudi Awori is somebody who doesn't attend a lot of public meetings and so on and so forth. So because Kalonzo Musyoka is actively involved in public meetings, and Mudi Awori is in less of those public uh, meetings and so on, you'll find that they are the same rank, both are former vice president, but you'll understand if Kalonzo Musyoka has more security personnel than Mudi Awori. It would even be, when you consider, for example, you are supposed to be having a number of security guards, security bodyguards from your level. Let's say you are former minister for security, internal security. It means that you are allocated less bodyguards than the former vice president. But then, because of your activities, the horizontal activities, you're active in work, you move a lot, you are not indoor bound or something like that. You'll find that you may be junior to me, that is, I'm a former vice president and you are a former minister, and you may find yourself in such a situation that the total number of security guards you have are more than mine. So that is where I say, in this way, it is quite possible for horizontal to bypass the vertical. I hope I'm clear there. Then take the example of Matiang'i. He was a minister, say, for internal security. You'll find that his activities and whatever may be a security threat to an extent that his security, there are those people who are employed for that and who from time to time do review those things from time to time. It is these people who come up with a figure that requires at that time. Although when we have to come to reality like Kenya, you'd find that today, you remember there's a time when Raila was trying to get into the Supreme Court, and an inspector of police was pushing him. Of course, that inspector of police still remembers, and Agwambo also still remembers, but I'm very sure that most likely Agwambo cannot put a face on the inspector who mishandled him, isn't it? So if you look at Agwambo, who was being pushed that time when he was trying to get into the Supreme Court, and Agwambo of today, vindu vichenjanga. So that is the reality, but what I'm talking about here is what is supposed to happen. This is what is supposed to happen. And if you look at the two, you see, when Raila was trying to get into the Supreme Court, and today, Raila is just the same, isn't it? Raila is the same, because when he was trying to get into the Supreme Court, he was a retired prime minister. At the same time, he was a retired co-head of government. He still has those. He still has those, but you'd find today security of Raila is being enhanced. And that is the unfair thing about Kenya. That is unfair thing about Kenya. Some of the things that you are supposed to, which are supposed to come to you as a right, you do it at the mercy of the sitting government. Remember, Kibaki once was the deputy head of state. When he became the leader of opposition, he was being guarded by former police officers. Then he came back and even became so the unfair thing about Kenya is that the security is scaled up and down, even if your life is in danger and you don't agree politically with the government in power, you most likely end up your security being reduced. Anyway, let us leave that in about Kenya. This thing about the horizontal and the vertical security consideration is an international obligation. But it is, as I've just shown you, it is not strictly followed in developing country. If you can remember, when Moi was the vice president, he was slapped at a roadblock by, I think, a police inspector. Uh, Imagine a deputy head of state, Kindiki now, Kindiki being slapped by an inspector on a roadblock. So in Africa, in a developing country, these things are not strictly followed. And the strict following of these things are two. One, the position you used to hold. That is one, the position you used to hold. And two, the threat level. The threat level. Not just the position you used to hold, even the position you are holding right now. There is somebody at the National Police Service headquarters, is it Jogo House, who is supposed to assess, and know that so and so deserves so. These things keep on changing. For example, even if you are the minister for, what do you call? I just have that shown that former vice president, there are two, but their security level is different. Even the ministers, their security levels are different. On one side, they are different, even if they are both active or even if they are both retired or ex. But when you go to places like America, other developed countries, this mathematics is strictly followed. It is strictly followed on your current or former position vis-a-vis the security threat there. Netanyahu is the prime minister of Israel. I'm trying to look for a prime minister of another country. If the prime minister, or it's called German chancellor, if the German chancellor, in Germany, the prime minister is called chancellor. If the German prime minister goes to America, you'd understand that the security of Netanyahu, because of Arab issues, would be more than that one of the chancellor. So I'm trying to say that this thing is fluid. I've just given two dimension, horizontal and vertical. It could even be 3 or even 4 or even 5. Now let us look at the American system now. Let us now look at the American system. They have the hierarchy. Just like anywhere else, we are supposed to have an hierarchy. The highest person is a head of state. It's a head of state. First of all, before I start reading these hierarchies, kindly note that I'll name them 1, 2, 3, 4. But as I name them, kindly remember that if you are there on official duty, or if you have gone there on your private affair, security is different. JI-TENGE can go there on holiday. Maybe my grandson is graduating in a university in the USA. The American system will know. I've just remembered. If Kenyans can remember when there was an attempt, the initial attempts which were there to to reconcile Ruto and Raila. It is even said that Samia Suluhu, the president for United Republic of Tanzania, came to Kenya on issues to do with reconciling Ruto and Raila. She landed and went back to Tanzania. And there was a hula baloo where people were saying, I think it is even General Obasanjo himself who said, how can the president of Tanzania come and she be treated that way? And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Kenya said that if she comes from if she's coming to Kenya and she comes on a state visit, if she's coming to Kenya on a state visit, we treat her different from a private visit. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is very diplomatic in the way they talk. So they did not want to tell them that he had come because of Raila and whatever. No. But as I said, I'm going to give you the hierarchy of the levels of security in the USA, which is supposed also to be in other countries. But as I said, in developing country, if you come from, if you are somebody who is not on good terms, yani it is related to your relationship with the government in power. So I'll give you the hierarchy, but as I give you the hierarchy, I still insist that you have to know that when these people visit the USA in their private capacity and when they visit there on state visits, security is different. So the highest hierarchy is a head of state. The highest hierarchy is the head of state. A visiting head of state is classified there, number one. Number two, below the head of state is the head of government. It is the head of government. I know Kenyans will have a bit of hard time to understand the difference between head of state and head of government. But that being that, in Israel and in Germany, there is a president, head of state. And then and even Ethiopia, we have the president who is the head of state. But everybody knows who the prime minister is, because the prime minister or the chancellor is the head of government. So security arrangements of a visiting VIP, which deals with the head of state, is tighter than that one of the head of government. Then below the head of government, in Kenya, head of state is the same as the head of government. He combines the two. Then number three is Minister for Foreign Affairs. Minister for Foreign Affairs comes after the head of government. Then after that, below the Minister for Foreign Affairs, we have the President's Special Envoy. President's Special Envoy. You'll find that immediately Ruto was sworn in as the president, he announced that he had requested Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to be his special envoy on conflict. I think it's in Sudan or somewhere there. So the next below the Minister for Foreign Affairs is special envoy. But you could be a special envoy, like you could be the head of government and the head of state. So security is given to the upper one. For example, if you are the head of state and the head of government, you are given the upper one, which is head of state. Now, if you happen to be somebody like a former president and you're still the head of, a special envoy, you are given security of a former head of state. If you have two capacities, the one which is senior is the one which is given consideration as far as protocol is concerned. A protocol includes even security. Now we have former occupiers of these positions. We have former head of state, we have former vice president, we have whatever. Now, if you fall under these groups of former, your hierarchy is similar to the one I've just mentioned, but a lower one. For example, if you are a former head of state, then you are given the same level. If you are a former president, you are given protocol on the same level as a foreign affairs minister. And if you are a former vice president, you are given the security. That way inaendelea hivyo hivyo. America, just like any country, fears anything happening to a VIP on its land. Many countries very fear. You see, you can have your own differences. You can have your own differences at home. And if the leader of the opposition in your country visits, like we had it in Kenya, yeah, we had it in Kenya. Remember, there was the Pakistan fellow who was killed by GSU officers in Magadi. So many countries fear opposition leaders visiting in that area, having their security breached. Having their security breached. If anything happens to GACHAGUA in the USA, it will bring the same problem like the Pakistan fellow who was shot by GSU officers on a roadblock in Magadi. So that is why you find that opposition leader visiting other countries like America, they are entitled to some form of security. And as I said, the form of security is given to them also varies from one VIP. You could have a person like Mudi Awori and Kalonzo Musyoka. I said in Kenya, they have the same rank, but their security consideration is different. And even two former vice presidents or former presidents, two of them going to America, the security threat of an. So what I'm trying to say is that it is also possible, even if it is remotely possible, that his security was enhanced because anything happening to him, forget about trying to be seen that America is siding with him. Of course, that is the what I had agreed. I had prepared myself to come and say. But as I was coming, uh, I, I said in my opening remark that the American government disowned the comment that GACHAGUA was trying to associate it with him. So I want to say that him being a former deputy head of state, he's entitled to some sort of security. I want to convince my viewer on one thing. Look at the motorcade. Look at the close quarter guard who are guarding GACHAGUA. In my rough estimate, a former head of state, government, etc., a former head of state, a former head of government, etc., are treated in the US in the same level as a minister for foreign affairs. I think I'd said that and I'm repeating. The idea of treating a former deputy officer of state as though he is uh, interfering with the internal affairs of a country, that thing they usually try to avoid. They try to avoid when they would really avoid taking sides, especially publicly. So here, issues of him talking about what do we call him talking about having reported the Kenyan government to that. I think he's doing it for the public because he ought to know. But unless you have full details, it would be unfair to equate two cases. It is unfair to equate two cases. So what we can just say is that his security there would be just, let us just take it on the face value that the Americans are concerned with a former vice president. Now, someone was even saying that if Raila goes there, he doesn't get that type of security. No, no, no. Raila is a former head of government. Raila and Kibaki were co-heads of government. Kibaki was head of state alone, but when it came to government, that's why it is called nusumkate. They had nusu nusu. So when Raila goes to the USA, he goes there as a former head of government. And as I said, former head of government gets more security than even the minister. Uh, he gets the same level as a minister for foreign affairs. So issue of him getting more than it is neither here nor there. Unless, as I said, we have issues of we have this issue of vertical issue, because security, maybe they would have even gotten an idea that like the issue of the Pakistan who was killed in Magadi. So that could be happening. There is also an example. If you wanted police escort like that of a cabinet secretary in Kenya, even having the vehicles outriding you or something like that, we have a case where you go for private hire use from the police. Even in America, there is such a provision. So we cannot rule out the possibility that either the whole security has been paid for, just the way you have been to a bank. You find APs guarding the bank there. Usually the banks hire the APs. That is the same way I can say that when you see him that way, there is a lot of things to put into consideration. We have to put into consideration first that he's entitled to that. Two, he's entitled, he can even hire police escort. You can hire police escort. If you want to know that, go to the nearest OCS and you'll be told. Or it could be a combination of that. He could be entitled to, let's say, 3 guards, and he hires 2, so they become 5. So it is good to investigate each case by its own merit. Unlike applying for a civilian firearm, where you have to go through whatever. Police hire for private use is, I've recorded it elsewhere, you can read, but that one is a straight, clear way. You have a function, you want the police, you go, you sign that, and that is international, even in the US and even in Kenya. That is what is happening. We cannot rule out the possibility that his enhanced security goes to according to his position and according to how much he is ready to pay for that. We have that possibility, and we cannot rule that one out. It is an international police regulation that is observed elsewhere. So that is what I'm saying. And then if you observe the way the security was going, uh, I've been watching the security of Rigathi Gachagua repeatedly. I've been watching the security of Gachagua repeatedly and trying to read between the lines. I am convinced that uh, the that those are local police. Looking at them, I'm convinced that those are local police, and I don't have to doubt them. You see, somebody may hire. We have cinemas and whatever, but I am convinced that they are local police. I have also noticed that they are mostly blacks, maybe Kenyans. I can say that I can suspect that they are green card people. Especially, I saw a young one trying to. There was a time when people were taking pictures with Rigathi Gachagua, and one of the police officers was trying to position himself strategically to be included in the picture. Lastly, I want to talk. I want to take you down the memory line. The Ouko visit to the USA. You have seen how Rigathi Gachagua, a former deputy head of state, is being treated. You can see how the Rigathi Gachagua is being treated, a former head of state. Now, let us, for the purpose of just academy, let us just assume that Rigathi Gachagua, let us assume for the purpose of just understanding that Rigathi Gachagua security is exactly what he's entitled. And as I said about the hierarchy the other time, I talked of the hierarchy where I said that a former head of state is treated like a minister for foreign affairs. And I want also to say that a former head of state is treated like a minister for foreign affairs. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that if the way Gachagua is treated, the way you see it in that picture, is being treated that way, like like a former head of state, it means that the minister for foreign affairs should have more security than what Gachagua had, and that is why I'm trying to tell you that Gachagua, when he went to the no, not Gachagua, when the visit to the US went, Ouko was treated more than what Gachagua is being treated. I want to tell you that if Moi was still the president and he saw those pictures of the way Gachagua had, especially on matters of security, Gachagua would not be safe. So what I'm trying to repeat again is that assuming that Gachagua was being treated that way during Moi's time, he would be advised not to come back. And I'm saying that a minister for foreign affairs has more enhanced security than what Gachagua had. And for a person like Biwott, who was the second most powerful person in Kenya, being ignored in the USA, and somebody who is, I don't know, number 8 or even 10 in Kenya, being treated the way Ouko was being treated, this one really annoyed Biwott. And then, you see, we even have, during those days, there was only the president of the country and the vice president who could use the word your excellency. And those are the only people who could use the word your excellency. And again, they are the same people who could be called president or vice president. Today, we have the president of Law Society. We have the president and the vice president of this and that and that. Those days, it was only the president. You will find that when we have visitors, VIPs from away, the VIPs are usually referred to as Your Excellency. Those days in Kenya, it was only the president and the vice president. And during Kenyatta's time, Your Excellency were three people. Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency Mama Ngina Kenyatta, and Your Excellency Vice President. Anybody else, that was treason. Now you'll find that in diplomatic terms, ministers for foreign affairs and ambassadors are called Your Excellency. So in America, when Ouko was being referred to as Your Excellency, Biwott used that and told Moi that, you see, this fellow is given a motorcade. Imagine a motorcade bigger than that one of Gachagua. He's given a big motorcade and is being referred to as Your Excellency. And that is what annoyed the president, and that is what led to Ouko's death. Because I also blame Ouko to some extent, because I understand that Ouko was told that things are not well, he should not come back to Kenya. But if he told them that I know the president, I'm a personal friend of the president, I'll talk to the president and we'll clear the matters. So that is what Biwott used the insecurity. Biwott used insecurity on matters of to make Ouko be killed. Lastly, as I finish, I want to tell you that Raila has been to the US, other people have been to the US, and they have had security tighter than that one of Rigathi Gachagua. But why is, if you look at the pictures that they are taking, there is a lot of emphasis on the police escort. There is a lot of emphasis on the police escort. It is meant for you and me who are back in Kenya. Otherwise, some people like Raila who have tighter security when they're in America, simply because between 2007 and 2013, Raila was a core head of government, but he does not disclose the security. The security that was being disclosed by Rigiji was meant to make people in Kenya believe that the US has endorsed him. And of course, the US said they are not endorsing him. Thank you.